So B7, have you heard of us? Maybe not heard of us yet. So the B7 solution is the solution that helped Outfit 7 grow from a startup to now we reach 2.8 billion downloads and 250 million monthly active users in just 5 years. So with the subsidiary of Outfit 7, we operate a game wall, a cross-promotion tool, and we'll share some insight we have on how to boost the retention of the users. So first, very important thing, and you all know that, it's raining apps. There's 300,000 games on Google Play. And John Hare, which is the developer of Speedball 2 and a long timer in the industry, shared at the Mobile Game Forum a bit earlier this year that the average cost of a mobile game is $25,000, but the average revenue of a game is only about $5,000. So there's a lot of money that can be lost, and you have to make sure that you get the right monetization tool. And of course, the free-to-play is the main model for a lot of people, but the users are getting savvier and savvier. And the user are more wary, and they would try to steer away from your monetization strategy, and they would a lot try to avoid to pay for the game. And if they don't really like the gameplay, they will leave. So what we've learned, a few things about discovery is don't force the game discovery, and it's very important to let the user control it. And what we've learned as well is that rewarding the gameplay and the re-engagement is very important. So that's the whole basis of the B7 tool, is that we tell the user that if they play the game, they can earn some reward. But we don't give them any reward for just downloading the game, because if you do that, the retention is very bad. And we don't tell them how much they're going to get as a reward, because we want them to focus on the play and what they do, not on the reward. We don't want them to grind, we don't want them to farm with that. But we still want to reward them to play. So that's what is very important. And what's very important for us is try not to interrupt the user. We all know that nobody likes banners, and videos can be a bit annoying. Our solution is make sure that you get the users at the right time when they want to discover new games and they want to get more content. So it has to be part of the gameplay. It doesn't have to disrupt the gameplay. And so we've analyzed a lot of data. So we have 250 million active users monthly, which is quite a large amount of data. We've started on Android, but we will launch iOS in July. So all the data I'm going to share with you is based on all these users. So how does our typical user engage? Is our user, on average, see the game wall 1.5 times a day. So it on average, interact with the game wall between once and twice a day. And then, from this, on average, a user would download one new game every week. So it's a great way to discover new games, and we all know that a lot of people play lots of games and like to discover new games, and will discover very often. For us, it's about once per week. And how do they engage in the games of Outfit 7 and the games we work with at B7? They, on average, play 32 minutes a day. And on average, they play 13 sessions a day. So each session is quite short, 2.40 once again, on average, less than 3 minutes. So it's really snack consuming of gameplay. And the lesson we've seen on discovery and retention you can see it's a. I hope you can see it properly, but depending on each country, the interaction is higher and lower. So for US and Canada, on day one, the visit to game wall is 20% in the US, for instance, and 40% in Canada. And we are looking at the life cycle of our product at day one, at day 7, and day 13, actually, on how people will discover new games. And as you can see, the behavior is very different from one country to another. Our product is exactly the same, and it's localized in all the languages, so the user will understand the same way. But usually, people in North America interact more, in Europe on average as well, and by the time we'll still have some users at day 13, 5% of the users that interact with the game wall. So what this really means is that most users will engage with the game wall within the first 5 days to discover new titles. So even though they play a new game, they would discover other games and try to download other games right during the 5 first days they interact with the games. And even up to 20% of people will do that on the first day. So on the first day, people start interacting with the game wall and all the monetization tools we have in our games. So we have to be ready by day 1. And what's very important as well is after 3 weeks, 50% of the users that were still active at day 7 still use the game wall. So this tool is actually very well accepted by long-term users, and that's very important for us. So I have a few data for you on Asia, actually, which you can compare to earlier what I mentioned. What we know about the typical user is he plays 26 minutes per day, so a bit less than the average player. And the user here in Asia downloads 28 games per year, so about 1 game every 2 weeks. And which day do they play? It's pretty similar to worldwide data. Most of the play on our network is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The biggest day would be Saturday. So it's a very nice time to engage the user is the weekend, actually. And the peak of play times on our games. So China, Vietnam, and India is pretty similar to the rest of the world, which you see the beginning of the evening at 8 and 9 p.m. For Thailand, it's 10 a.m. So we wonder if it's just kids start arriving at school and starting to play instead of listening to the classes, or housewife back from the school bringing the kids and then at home playing the games. And for Korea, it's 4 p.m. So we believe it's mostly the teenagers between the school and the mandatory classes after school. And there's another interesting chart is the percentage of people interacting with our game wall, depending on the time, how often they interact with the game wall every day. Most of them will interact between 1 and 3 times per day, but we have users interacting 10 times per day with the game wall, even 15 times per day. That's pretty high. And for each country, so you see China, India, Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam. Excuse me. So China is most of the user would still interact between once per day to twice per day, but you can see that India and Thailand users, 5% of them interact 15 times per day with the game wall. What we've seen as well is some favorite categories of users on our end. So for China, the favorite games are entertainment, casual games, puzzle game, and action games, and not a lot of strategy on our network. For India, it's a lot of casual games, some lifestyle, some entertainment. For Thailand, a huge chunk of the users we see are interested in casual games, some for action, and some for arcade games as well. And for Vietnam, again, casual is high, action is high, but card is the number 3, and entertainment as well. So, and what else can we see is the average Asian user on our network plays 10 sessions a day, and the average is 2.5 minutes overall. So what are the conclusions we can draw from that? Is that the users want to be in control of what they do and how they discover the games, and they really like to be in control. Second is they love to be rewarded, and using a reward to bring people back, even if it's a small reward, because the reward we give is very small, almost insignificant. It's still a feel-good factor. It's a welcome back, and they really like it. And you have to bring engaging content and make sure that there's seamless monetization. But the content, your game must be engaging first and foremost. That's very important, obviously. So now you know who we are, give or take, I hope. So I'm going to show you what we do. So this is this is the game wall we use. So you can see that you can watch video and download some games, but the user has full control of what they do, and it's obviously a native game wall, white label. We don't have any brands on it. It's a proven monetization tool. So as you know, you can have app wall, you can have interstitials, you can have banners, you can have video. What we see at Outfit 7 is B7 is about 30% of the advertising revenue we have, which is pretty similar to video. So we all know that video is quite good revenue for a game. So our solution is as good as video and brings a lot revenue for the Outfit 7 company. And what we do, the retention is the user plays a game, and then when he reach a level, he can get a reward. And then from one game, he gets a reward on the second game, and he goes back to the second game, and again, back to the first game. So there's always a loop between game A, game B, and all the games that are in the cycle and use B7 tool. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have plenty of time for questions for Wandrille. So let's open the floor for questions. Okay, hang on. Hello, hello.
Hi. You have the data for the day when people play the game, but I want to know if you have the data for the day people usually download new games.
It's pretty similar. Usually it's Saturday and Sunday when people are most likely to download new games. So a lot of game companies and a lot of our clients are really focusing their advertising campaign on Saturday and Sunday, because they know that users on the weekend have more time to discover the game. So they usually discover more games, and the time they have to discover the game is of better quality, so they have better chance to retain the user on Saturday and Sundays.
Okay, thank you.
The beer is calling, obviously.
All right. So if there are no more questions, let's just give a hand to Wandrille. Thank you so much for the great talk.